1936 Lincoln Zephyr. Originally, the Zephyr was meant to be a budget-friendly sub-brand under Lincoln, kind of like how Cadillac had LaSalle. But something unexpected happened. Instead of just filling a gap in the lineup, the Lincoln Zephyr became a breakout hit and quickly established itself as the heart of the Lincoln brand. For the mid-1930s, the Zephyr was ahead of its time. It featured unit body construction, Lincoln's first, and a compact 4.4-liter V12 engine, all wrapped in sleek aerodynamic styling. That was a bold move back then, especially considering how the radical Chrysler Airflow had flopped just a couple of years earlier in 1934. But Lincoln stuck to their vision, and it paid off. The timing also helped. America was still reeling from the Great Depression, and the Lincoln Zephyr offered a more practical and affordable option compared to the big, luxurious Lincoln Model K. It hit the sweet spot, luxury feel, modern design, but at a more approachable price. In fact, in its very first year on the market, the Zephyr made up about 80% of Lincoln's total sale. After World War II, the Zephyr name was quietly dropped, but the car itself continued on and essentially became the backbone of Lincoln's lineup through 1948. It's a classic example of how a car, originally designed to be the affordable one, ended up steering the entire brand in a new direction. 1956 Continental Mark II. Back in the 1950s, Ford set out to build what it hoped would be the finest personal luxury car in the world. The result? The 1956 Continental Mark II, a direct spiritual successor to the original Lincoln Continental, which had been inspired by Edsel Ford and introduced back in 1940. The Mark II made its grand debut in Paris, of all places, and it stood in stark contrast to the flashy American cars of the era. There were no towering tail fins, no over-the-top chrome. Instead, this car carried a refined, understated elegance that felt more European, though Lincoln preferred to call it Continental, sold under its own standalone Continental brand. But through Lincoln dealerships, the Mark II was more than just a car. It was a statement. It was largely hand-built, featuring fine imported Scottish leather on the seats, a deep, multi-layered hand-rubbed lacquer finish, and just about every luxury feature Ford could dream up. The only option? Air conditioning. Now, the price tag was steep, $9,960 at the time, which would be roughly $102,000 in today's money. And even at that premium, Ford reportedly lost about $1,000 on each unit they sold, simply due to how labor-intensive the production was. In total, just over 3,000 Continental Mark IIs were produced during their short 2-year run. But in that time, the car attracted some serious star power. Owners included Frank Sinatra, President Dwight Eisenhower, Elvis Presley, and Nelson Rockefeller. The Mark II wasn't just luxury, it was luxury with pedigree. 1961 Lincoln Continental. After 3 straight years of painfully gaudy designs, Lincoln finally turned a corner. In 1961, they introduced one of the most beautiful and iconic luxury cars in automotive history, the Lincoln Continental. With its long, low stance, squared-off lines, and a clean, de-chromed look, the 1961 Continental rejected every styling cliché of the 1950s. And just like that, its longtime rival Cadillac suddenly looked like a holdover from a bygone era. Lincoln offered the car in both 4-door sedan and 4-door convertible version. Both came with those distinctive rear-hinged back doors, better known as suicide doors. It was a bold design choice, but it worked. And with the stylish Kennedy family entering the White House, it felt like the perfect symbol of a new era. America was embracing fresh design, youthful energy, and modern elegance, and the 61 Lincoln fit right in. In fact, the first family made it their official presidential limousine. Tragically, that very car would later become part of one of the darkest chapters in American history. But just like Jackie Kennedy herself, the Continental carried on. It endured and over time became an icon of early 1960s design, forever remembered as a symbol of grace, tragedy, and timeless style.